There are moments in life when timing matters more than effort, moments when delay costs more than failure. This is one of those moments, not because of fear, but because of opportunity. Something is being offered to you right now, not tomorrow, not later, not when everything feels perfect, but now. Many people miss turning points not because they weren't capable, but because they hesitated. They waited for certainty, clarity, or confidence, but clarity often comes after obedience, not before it. What you are sensing right now is not pressure, it is invitation. Before midnight represents more than a time on the clock. It represents the closing of a season. Some doors only remain open for a limited window, not because God is unkind, but because growth requires movement. When opportunity lingers too long, urgency fades. And when urgency fades, purpose is delayed. You may feel unprepared. You may feel unsure. You may feel like you don't have enough strength, enough faith, enough resources. But readiness is not about having everything. It is about being willing to begin with what you have. Every meaningful change starts imperfectly. There are thoughts you've been ignoring, convictions you've been postponing, decisions you've been delaying, not because you don't know what to do, but because action feels uncomfortable. Growth always is. Comfort rarely leads to transformation. This message is not about fear of missing out. It is about awareness. Awareness that life moves forward whether we act or not. Awareness that seasons shift quietly. Awareness that tomorrow is not guaranteed, but opportunity is present. Before midnight is a reminder that procrastination often disguises itself as patience. Waiting can be wise, but delay rooted in fear is costly. There is a difference between waiting on direction and avoiding responsibility. Deep down, you already know which one this is. God often speaks softly, not urgently. But when urgency is felt, it is usually because alignment is near. Something is ready to shift, but it requires participation. Faith is not passive, it responds. You don't need to fix everything tonight. You don't need to understand everything tonight. But you do need to acknowledge what is being stirred within you. Ignoring it will not make it disappear. It will only quiet it temporarily. Before midnight also symbolizes reflection, a chance to pause and ask, what am I carrying that no longer belongs in the next season? What habits, mindsets, or fears have overstayed their welcome? Letting go is just as important as stepping forward. Many people pray for change but resist decisions. They ask for direction but avoid commitment. Yet movement is the language of trust. When you take a step, even a small one, momentum follows. This is not about perfection. It is about honesty. Honest recognition that something needs to change. Honest willingness to respond. Honest faith that says, I don't see the full path, but I trust the next step. Midnight marks transition. What was will not be the same as what will be. You can cross that line intentionally or accidentally. You can move forward awake or drift forward unaware. One leads to growth, the other leads to regret. What you do before midnight doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as a decision, a prayer, a commitment, a release. Small moments shape big outcomes. Don't underestimate the power of timely obedience. History is filled with people who changed their future by responding when it mattered, not when it was convenient. The difference between stagnation and progress is often a single decision made in the right moment. This message found you for a reason, not by accident, not randomly. Pay attention to what resonates. That resonance is direction. Before midnight, choose awareness over avoidance, faith over fear, action over delay. Not because you are pressured, but because you are ready. Some opportunities don't come loudly. They come quietly, asking for courage rather than confidence. This is one of them. Open this, receive it, respond to it, because moments like this don't repeat themselves in the same way, and what you choose now will echo longer than you realize. Urgency is not meant to create fear. It is meant to awaken awareness. There are moments in life when delay carries consequences, when postponement quietly costs more than we realize. The message of urgency speaks to the truth that not everything important can wait. Some decisions shape direction, some moments mark transition, and some windows do not remain open indefinitely. Ignoring these moments does not stop time from moving, it only removes choice. Many people live assuming there will always be another chance, another season, another opportunity to pay attention. This assumption breeds comfort, but weakens responsibility. Urgency interrupts comfort and calls the heart back to attention. It reminds us that life is not endless rehearsal, it is active participation. What we do with moments of awareness determines what follows. Urgency often arrives quietly. It does not always come with crisis or noise. Sometimes it comes as an inner nudge, a conviction, or a restlessness that refuses to be ignored. These moments are easy to dismiss because they do not demand immediate action outwardly, yet inwardly they carry weight. Ignoring them hardens sensitivity, responding to them sharpens discernment. The reason urgency matters is because alignment matters. Time alone does not correct misdirection. Delay does not automatically produce wisdom. Growth requires response. When awareness arrives and action is postponed, clarity fades. The heart becomes distracted. What once felt important begins to feel optional. Over time, optional becomes forgotten. Urgency does not mean panic. It means priority. It asks what truly matters right now, not later, not eventually, but now. Life is shaped by accumulated choices, not by intentions left unacted upon. Urgency invites the courage to choose alignment over convenience. There are moments when truth presents itself clearly. These moments are gifts. They offer insight into what needs attention, correction, or commitment. Ignoring truth does not remove it. It only postpones confrontation. Urgency recognizes that dealing with truth now prevents greater cost later. Spiritual urgency calls for awareness of the heart's condition. Drift happens slowly. Distraction builds quietly. Without urgency, habits form that shape direction unconsciously. Urgency interrupts drift. It invites examination. It asks whether values still match actions and whether direction still reflects purpose. Urgency also recognizes seasons. Not every season carries the same demands. Some seasons call for rest, others for rebuilding, others for decisive action. Missing the demand of a season creates imbalance. Urgency helps identify what kind of season it is and what response it requires. When urgency is ignored, regret often follows. Regret is not always about wrong action, it is often about inaction. The pain of missed opportunity frequently outweighs the discomfort of decisive action. Urgency offers protection from this regret by prompting response while choice is still available. Urgency sharpens focus. It reduces noise. When something is recognized as important, distractions lose power. Time is used intentionally rather than reactively. Energy is directed rather than scattered. Urgency aligns attention with purpose. There is also a communal dimension to urgency. When individuals respond to moments of awareness, collective transformation becomes possible. Change rarely begins with systems. It begins with people who respond when called. Urgency fuels movement because it produces action. Urgency does not guarantee ease. Acting promptly may require discomfort, honesty, or sacrifice. Yet comfort has never been the measure of growth. Progress often requires choosing what is right over what is easy. Urgency empowers that choice. The invitation of urgency is simple but demanding. Pay attention now. Listen now. Respond now. Not because time is running out in fear, but because opportunity is present in clarity. Moments of insight are not permanent fixtures. They are invitations. Urgency honors the value of the present. It treats now as meaningful, not as a placeholder for later. It recognizes that transformation does not begin someday. It begins when awareness meets action. Ignoring urgency does not preserve peace. It delays it. Addressing what matters now creates relief, alignment, and momentum. It replaces anxiety with intention. Urgency is not pressure from outside. It is responsibility from within. It is the recognition that life responds to attention. What is acknowledged grows. What is ignored fades. Responding to urgency is an act of respect for time, for purpose, and for the opportunity to choose wisely. It is choosing to be present rather than passive, intentional rather than accidental. When urgency is honored, moments become milestones, decisions become direction, awareness becomes action, and action becomes transformation. The second truth is that urgency is not meant to create fear, but awareness. Time is one of the most underestimated gifts people are given. It feels endless until it suddenly isn't. Days pass quietly, moments slip by unnoticed, and opportunities appear briefly before disappearing again. What makes certain moments important is not drama, but timing. There are windows that do not remain open forever, and recognizing them requires attention rather than panic. Urgency in a spiritual sense is not about rushing blindly. It is about recognizing significance. When something matters, it deserves priority. Many people delay decisions because they believe there will always be another chance, another season, another opportunity. Sometimes that is true. Often it is not. Life does not announce its turning points loudly. They arrive disguised as ordinary moments, subtle impressions, or gentle convictions that are easy to ignore. Awareness begins when distractions are quieted. Modern life constantly pulls attention outward, filling time with noise, urgency, and endless activity. In that noise, important moments can be missed. The call to pay attention is a call to slow down internally, even if life remains busy externally. It is in stillness that clarity often emerges. There are moments when the heart senses that something matters now, not tomorrow, not later, now. This sense is not always logical, but it is meaningful. Ignoring it can lead to regret, not because of punishment, but because of missed alignment. Acting on it often leads to growth, even when the outcome is uncertain. Urgency does not mean pressure from outside forces. It means responsiveness from within. It is the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is driven by fear. Responding is driven by awareness. When urgency is understood correctly, it brings focus rather than anxiety. Time-sensitive moments often involve decisions rather than outcomes. Choosing to forgive, choosing to speak, choosing to let go, choosing to begin. These choices shape direction more than circumstances do. Delay can feel safe, but it often keeps people stuck in cycles they were meant to move beyond. There is also urgency in listening. Listening to conviction, listening to conscience, listening to truth that challenges comfort. These inner signals are easy to dismiss, especially when they disrupt routine, but they are often indicators of growth waiting to happen. Ignoring important moments does not always bring immediate consequences. Sometimes the cost appears later as stagnation, regret, or a sense of lost momentum. Looking back, people often recognize moments when something could have changed, but hesitation prevailed. Urgency also highlights responsibility. Awareness brings choice. Once something is recognized as important, ignoring it becomes a decision rather than an accident. This responsibility is not meant to burden, but to empower. It reminds people that they are active participants in their own growth. There is urgency in aligning priorities. What receives time and energy reveals what is valued. Important moments call for realignment. They ask whether current habits support future direction. This evaluation can feel uncomfortable, but it is necessary for progress. Urgency does not demand perfection. It demands honesty. Acting when something matters does not guarantee success, but it guarantees movement. Growth often begins with imperfect steps taken at the right time. There is also urgency in gratitude, recognizing what is present now rather than waiting for more. Many moments lose their value when appreciation is postponed. Awareness allows people to honor what they have while they have it. The idea of before midnight symbolizes boundaries. Every day ends, every season shifts, every opportunity has limits. Recognizing boundaries sharpens focus. It encourages intentional living rather than passive drifting. Urgency invites commitment, not to pressure, but to purpose. It asks whether life is being lived deliberately or by default. Important moments call for intentional choices rather than habitual reactions. Ultimately, urgency is a gift. It brings clarity to what truly matters. It cuts through distraction and highlights significance. When embraced wisely, it leads to growth, alignment, and forward movement. It does not rush the heart, it awakens it. The urgency of the moment is not meant to create fear, but awareness. Time has a way of disguising importance by making everything feel postponable. People convince themselves there will always be another opportunity, another season, another moment when they will take faith seriously, restore broken priorities, or respond to what they know deep down they should not ignore. The danger is not that time moves quickly, but that awareness fades quietly. What matters most is often delayed until it becomes distant. There are moments when clarity arrives unexpectedly, a thought that will not leave, a conviction that interrupts routine, a sense that something must change now, not eventually. These moments are rare and fragile. They are easily silenced by distraction, logic, or busyness. Ignoring them does not make them disappear. It only dulls sensitivity to the next one. Urgency exists because responsiveness shapes direction. Spiritual urgency is not about panic. It is about alignment. It recognizes that decisions made in ordinary moments often carry extraordinary consequences. Waiting feels harmless because it rarely shows immediate cost. But delay slowly trains the heart to resist conviction. What begins as hesitation becomes habit. What is postponed once becomes easier to postpone again. There is power in responding when awareness is fresh. When conviction is clear, the heart is open. Orbi. As this moment closes, understand that urgency is not meant to create fear, but awareness. Time is not something to waste, and silence is not something to ignore. What you have sensed, what has been stirring in your heart, is not accidental. This is an invitation to respond, to realign, and to act with intention. The decisions you make now carry weight beyond this moment. Do not delay what requires obedience. Do not postpone what requires faith, and do not silence what has been clearly revealed to you. When you respond with sincerity and courage, clarity follows. This is not about pressure. It is about purpose. And when you choose to listen and act, you step into alignment with what has been waiting for you all along.